What's up, guys? Hi and welcome to another upper body day. So today was a pull-up day, meaning I have to max out on a pull-up variation. So the variation I decided upon was the sternum pull-up. Now, historically, I've been able to do 9 reps of this exercise while touching the bar, but I only managed to actually pull up 10 kilos and touch the bar, which really proves my old, concept in my head that this is an exercise that gets exponentially, massively more difficult towards the top. And the reason you're able to do so many more reps with a lighter weight, just your body weight that is the fact that you have momentum out of the bottom to carry you through that difficult sticking point towards the top. So my goal here with the sternum pull-ups is I will start training them properly again, and even weighted, probably. But this will have to wait for a few more weeks, as right now I'm overloading my regular pull-ups. So sternum pull-ups will be back on the menu shortly, but right now the focus is normal pull-ups. I'm switching it around a bit from sternum to back to regular, simply for a novel training stimulus. Because if you do the same thing exactly all the time, same exercises, you're going to see diminished returns. And since I want fast progress, it's probably better to get on a new kind of learning curve of a new exercise than it is to continue to grind out slowly, barely noticeable gains in an exercise which I've quote unquote temporarily mastered. Onto bench press. I've almost talked over this whole thing. I did 9 reps, and 8 reps on this, and what I'm really doing here is I'm making sure to pause the reps properly and to drive as hard as I can every single rep. So as you can see, the bar speed is very fast, and I'm using around 68-69% of my 1 rep max on the bench press, which would mean that I can probably do 3 sets of 10 with that weight, so I am exploding it a bit harder to kind of compensate for that. Moving on to the pull-ups here, 3 sets of 10 today with 2.5 kilograms. This is the third session rather. First one was no weight, then 1.25, now we're doing 2.5. So slow and steady progressive overload wins the race. I will continue doing this, like I said, until I plateau. Basically until I fail a session, until I fail the 3 sets of 10. It might be around the 10 kilo mark or something similar. After that I will be on the sternum pull-up grind again and try to get those 3 sets of 10. But as you can see here, the form on every single rep today was not completely perfect, but I did employ good, solid form. And that is very, very important. Cheating yourself while doing rep work is silly. Now, if you're I was about to say a vulgar word, but if you're way too careful with your form, you're not ever going to progress, because, to progress you have to go close to your maximum capability. There's my back gains, by the way. Boom. I think my back is looking quite a bit better than it used to. Can't remember where I was. Anyway, seated overhead press, 47.5 kilograms. This is around 70% of my 1 rep max on the overhead press. Got 9, 9, and 8 reps a day, which was the plan. Goal here is to take this up to 3 sets of 10, and after that add 2.5 kilos, and then take 50 kilos to 3 sets of 10. So that whole process is going to take me, can't do it in my head, but less than 2 months. It has to be less than 2 months, I fucking hope so. Maybe 1 month, 1.5 months, or something like that. But basically, if I can do 3 sets of 10 with 50 kilos, that means I probably do have, a 72.5 or even a 75 1 rep max at that point. So that would be awesome. These are actually truly difficult, and I must say that the overhead press is a tremendous upper back exercise. To anyone who hasn't really trained this properly, which there are many who don't, I do recommend it. Now, I'm doing them seated because the roof is too low, but otherwise I would of course do them standing. The standing overhead press is the ultimate version of strict pressing, and I wouldn't pretend otherwise. However, we do have other variations like the seated, as I'm doing now, versions where you do it on a on a vertical bench, we have the dumbbell, and we have the Z press, and we have the push press. So there are a lot of variations, even the behind the neck press, which I may be employing shortly, trying to figure out, is that actually a truly dangerous exercise, or, is it underrated? I've heard differing opinions, but there are some strength coaches which I have respect for and who I've learned a lot from through the years, including Alec Ankeri. And he recently made a video on the fact that just because you might not be able to do behind the neck presses doesn't mean that he shouldn't, because he has worked on his mobility to such a point that he doesn't get injured on the exercise and can therefore reap the benefits. So, inspired by him, I will be trying behind the neck pressing after this kind of regular overhead press progression stops. But for now, that's just an idea. Another thing I'm adjusting here, the rows. On the first 2 sets here, I did pendler rows. After that, I did barbell rows. So the difference is not setting it down on the ground every single time. And I must say that I probably will be doing barbell rows in the short to mid-term future, as opposed to these regular ones right here. And the reason I really like the idea of barbell rowing is, as you have noticed, I'm using the exact same sets and reps as I am doing on my bench press. And the barbell row is even more similar to being an opposite version of the bench press than the pendler row, since it isn't a dead stop exercise. You're actually resting at the bottom with the extended arms without actually, resting fully. You're just extending. And I believe that this is probably very, very close to the bench press. The only difference is you obviously pause on the chest with a bench press, but that is quite unfeasible to do with the same weights when it comes to barbell rowing. So I'll just stick to regular barbell rows and try to hit the exact same sets and reps and weight as I do on the bench press to really balance out the front to the back of my body. Moving on here, skull crushers. I've figured out what I want to do with these. I'm still doing 30 kilos. The goal is just to do 1 set per session. I don't want to be in the gym for, hours and hours. So I'm going to do 1 proper hard set and work it up to 25 reps. Right now I'm doing 22. I started at 20. So once I get to 25 reps, I'll add 2.5 kilos to the bar. And I'll continue doing that basic progression scheme until I run out of steam on this. And then I'll probably do an overhead extension or something similar, another variation that I can aggressively and harshly overload upwards. So that's the idea with this. But as you can see here, I'm doing proper good form. My requirement is simply behind the head, not going super low. It is somewhat similar to a JM press and to a actual skull crusher where you bring it to your forehead. But I do like going behind the head. It feels better on my shoulder, or my elbows rather. But I don't want to do too many sets of tricep extensions, as that has historically felt kind of funny in my elbow tendons. Moving on right here, barbell curls. Today I decreased the weight massively from 30 kilos to 20 kilos, the empty bar. And I actually got 20 reps with not perfect, but very good form here on the barbell curl. And my goal here will be the exact same as with the extensions. It will be to get 25 reps. After that, I will start adding, weight. When I get to 25 reps of this, I'll add 2.5 kilos, drop back down to 20 reps, build up to 25 reps with 22.5 instead. So all of this that you're seeing throughout this whole workout, except for the beginning, basically, the 1 rep max, is very, very basic bodybuilding style training. And my goal is not to do a fuckload of volume. My goal is to do a reasonable amount of volume that actually makes me grow, but doesn't destroy my body. Since I want to practice Taekwondo, and since I want to do cardio and other things as well, and I don't want to live in the gym. Although technically I do, since it's a home gym, but that's a whole nother story. I don't believe it's super efficient to do these marathon workouts, which I have done in the past, it's probably a lot better to just train a little harder so that you actually stimulate the muscle properly and you're still able to sort something out of the window. Train the muscle properly and you're still able to make progress in a short amount of time. Wrist extensions, the wrist curls, I superset these nowadays. I kept the reps the same because I'm having a really tough time, both on the 10th rep of these and the 20th rep on the wrist curls, to do it properly. So this is a superset I'll continue to use with the empty bar for the foreseeable future, unless I get to like 20 plus reps on both. I probably will need to start adding some weight. Wrist curls, as you can see here, I'm really letting the bar out into my fingertips, which really helps to kind of extend fuller, and it gives you a longer range of motion in your muscle. You're building up the fascia and the tendons in not only your forearms but also in your fingers and hands, which one of my new things in my new training philosophy is you need to train almost every muscle in your entire body. Preferably every, but some muscles are kind of unfeasible, like the jaw muscles. I mean, when you start just breaking it down, fucking eyebrow muscles, that starts to become a problem. But when it comes to muscles that actually move your body in big major movement patterns, you probably need to train every single muscle. So that includes hands, fingers, and neck. So calves as well. But neck training is the focus here, since this is an upper body workout. And as you can see here, I'm actually going quite deeply down, but still keeping my chin tucked, and also driving that chin towards my, clavicles or sternum, whatever you want to call it, at the top of the range of motion. So I'm not really helping with my fingers there. Rather, it's the other way around. But the goal here is really to stabilize the weight and really work the muscles, not really press my head down very hard, hurt the discs in my neck. It's rather just keep all of the pressure right into the muscles. And it's the same thing here. It took me 3 reps to get the form down here with the neck extensions. But the goal is to have that weight further out on my head. I adjusted it as the set went along. And pull down on my head at the bottom of the rep, as well as slightly at the top. So while keeping my actual neck fairly straight, I'm bending more towards the the root, the base, the bottom of my neck than I am the actual middle of my neck, if that makes sense. So this is the equivalent to more of a hip hinge, for example, rather than rounding the back on the deadlift. And the goal here with the neck training is really just build up the neck for aesthetic reasons and for performance, brain safety from concussions in Taekwondo, and yeah, I think it will look really good as well if I thicken up my neck, so I'm looking forward to that. That's all I have to say today on the training. Other than that, diet is still at 4,000 calories per day if you're interested, and tomorrow it is Taekwondo, so probably no video. I'll see you guys by Thursday. Goodbye.